check. This takes 1 second. All right, I think we're live.
Hi,
Yes,
Joanna.
we are. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the next episode of the Body Active Show. I'm here with Coach Kate, the amazing Coach Kate, and we're going to talk about a couple things that she's working on, which are really exciting. So, Miss Kate, introduce yourself. What do you do? What do you love? Tell me what you got going on.
Great. Thank you so much for Joanna having me on your show. Thank you. I'm excited. And I'm a coach. I'm a personal trainer, and I also implement lifestyle coaching into my clients' routine because I don't think it's just about working out. I think that it's a whole package of what health really is. Working out is just one aspect to it, but seeing that and being in the industry, I really found to have a passion for helping people more than just actually working out. And mental health is huge, and I think just as much as exercising your body, mental health is just as important. So
Absolutely. And I see a lot of she has this podcast she started this year, which is amazing. She gets great advice, and I think it's you're going to be helping so many people with the struggles, those internal struggles when with insecurities and kind of maybe take traumas from when you were younger that you don't realize come out when you're older as well. And a lot of that she talks about a lot all these aspects in her podcast, which I think is so great to share with people. What would you think affected you the most? Like, what got you started on your podcast?
well, I've been through a lot of experiences in my life. I think, having I know a lot, and I live a certain lifestyle because it wasn't that way at one point. I
Mhm.
dealt with a 9-year eating disorder. I ate very unhealthy. I smoked, I drank, just very angry and whatnot. So I really changed my life, and I have all these life experiences that I've had this tremendous amount of transformation. And I said, this just can't go to waste.
Yeah.
And you know, a passion of mine is speaking and to share that. And so I thought, what's the best way to start being able to practice speaking and to be able to structure these specific types of topics in an educated way where people could hear me versus I'm not going to just be, Tony Robbins in a month. You have to start somewhere and, start on a platform that's easy for people to use and access. And so that's how I really started my journey with podcasting and starting off there.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's important. I mean, I just like when you talk, it really just comes from a genuine place, and I think that's what people are going to connect to, whether you have a million people or two people listening. I think anyone that actually gets that message and it really is resonating with them, I think that's what's going to be very important for what to get your message out there. So, and I just love like there's so many different. You have so many cool and kind of different aspects of your life. Like she does jujitsu, she does makeup, photography, all these things, but she's making this like cool Coach Kate package coming together into like this voice from her like struggles she's had. I've known Kate for what, 5, 6 years now, at least.
Yeah, at least, yes.
Even in those years, I've seen you kind of transform into like this like strong coaching person, which I think is just awesome. Um, so what was your last topic on your podcast? I think I missed that one.
When something is a must for you versus I should do it.
Right. Oh, well,
So
that's huge. Yeah.
yeah, like
And it
that
ties
is,
into the goals and connecting the goal to the authentic wants and needs that you want, right? So,
yep.
how would you help someone who's struggling with kind of goal setting and trying to figure out, well, is this really something I want or something that maybe I see everyone wants a size zero body, or I don't know, like how would you approach that with someone that you're coaching?
Well, I really start to ask a bunch of questions. And I think asking questions versus telling people how it should be or how what it not asking people gets people to think for themselves
Yeah.
and really understanding where this is coming from. Because I think that just wanting to lose 10 pounds is a very superficial goal. It's a great goal to have. But I think when you set yourself up and you're really in tuned and in touch with the things that you really want for your life, whether that be to have more energy to spend with your kids or to hike a mountain or to just feel good each and every day, to wake up, to have energies to achieve and go after the things that you really want to do in your life, then the 10 pounds just comes along with that. But
Right.
we're so stuck on a number and we're so stuck on something very small that we act small.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't have a setup in a way. And underneath a lot of things is much more than 10 pounds. It's like
Of course.
parent, I'm not a psychologist or a licensed health practitioner by any means, but I've had a lot of experience, especially with my father growing up with, abuse and addiction, and just really understanding and knowing that, so much is more is underneath than just wanting to lose 10 pounds. And, what do you really, really want?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
And
who
I
would you,
think
yeah,
it's that whole idea of finding your why, right? Like if you
yeah,
find that why and you connect every behavior, your daily activities to that why, and you just do a 1% every day, you're going to eventually get there. And the speed isn't really even important. It's the fact that you're making changes every single day, no matter how small that change is. It's like you're making these, even the tiniest baby steps towards your goal. If you just be consistent, follow through, you're gonna get there. So yeah, it definitely is about kind of aligning that mindset, right, to like what that goal is. I think that's so important. Yeah.
yeah. And along with that, a lot of people want to make these drastic changes in their lives and they don't even identify as that person yet. So they don't see themselves as that person who's healthy. And then yet you try to make these goals and live this type of lifestyle when you don't even relate to yourself as that. Right? We are who we identify ourselves as, right? We are a woman, we are a health coach, and we are a girlfriend, and then you have actions that follow that identity. But
Mm-hmm.
most people are trying to set up these unrealistic goals inside of an identity that's old and that has a lot of trauma or a lot of negative self-talk, when you're just going to continuously be going in a rat race. You're just going to continuously be setting yourself up for, people like, oh, I cheated, or I fell off track. It's like,
Yo-yo, right?
yeah, very yo-yo and up and down. And I get it. I've been there. I understand that whole mentality. I understand that whole way. But when we're chasing these superficial small goals,
Mm-hmm.
you just focus on the lifestyle as a whole versus the actual fat on our body is so weird.
Yeah, yeah. And
So,
I think a lot of what we pack on and with weight is actually kind of attached to our emotions as well. So
mhm.
it's like when you deal with the emotional, like, and it could be something big or small, but I feel like the emotional and mental piece, the stress and kind of balancing all these other parts of your life, it just becomes easier to lose the weight because your life starts to become like imbalance. So it's just people just focus, like you said, on those 10 pounds instead of everything else that's contributing to the 10 pounds. Yeah.
Exactly. I want to know if your room is clean. I want to know the type of people you hang out with. I want to know what their goals are about. I want to know where you see yourself in a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, like wherever you see yourself. And you are a product of your environment.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Are you happy with your job?
Yeah, you're happy with
Like,
your job. Are you having sex? Like, are you fully self-expressed? Are you following your dreams? Not that that needs to be your life constantly, but we look at ourselves like, oh, I'm just my career. I'm just this wife. I'm just this. Where it's like, no, you got to look at how you do one thing is how you do a lot of things, and how you show up in one area of your life is how you show up in a lot of areas of your life.
yeah.
And maybe we have better values and standards in certain aspects with our finances, and then maybe not so much in our relationships. And then there's all these imbalances where if you look at everything as a whole, and that to me, that's what health is everything. Health is not just what you eat, how you exercise. It's, I've struggled a long time. Like I'm so healthy, but I would have these toxic relationships.
Mm-hmm.
That was like a huge imbalance in my life. And looking at that, you could be healthy, you could work out, you could do this. And I was like always so tired. But I was in these like draining, exhausting relationships with these men that were just dragging me down. So that's not health.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, if you're, it's like an uphill battle if you don't balance those other things. Cause it's like you said, you're draining that energy into something else when you could be focusing on your goals and your wants and everything that you desire and the course you want to take it in. So I totally get that. It's so important. I mean, and then it's usually when you're feeling down and you don't realize it, it's when you go pick at the bad food, it's this mental like thing. If you have to be fighting the willpower constantly, or firing that up, it's exhausting. It really is. So,
And
and
it's
stress itself, it gets your hormones all out of balance. So you're just compounding the journey with obstacles instead of kind of clearing out your space and making that a clear path to where you want to go. So that's totally, yeah, Toxic relationships definitely can get you off track.
Exactly. They could throw everything off. But
Yeah.
yeah, it comes down to one thing I really ask people is like, if you really want something, you're going to make it happen. And it's about being honest with yourself. I have these clients that sit down and they're they're overweight and they say that they eat healthy.
Right.
And it's okay, this coaching could go two ways. I could be nice to you and fluff your feathers, or I could just really, we could really face some things and be honest. Like, what are you really eating? You're
Yeah.
eating good from morning till 7 p.m. and then you start binging at night, or you do have that toxic relationship and that's why you have all this extra weight on you, or it's like getting really authentic and real with yourself and your goals and aligning yourself with what it is that you really want. Because 10 pounds, if you put 10 pounds in front of you or me right now, you would not be inspired.
Right.
But if you listed all the things that would be possible and who would you be in that person, would show up 10 pounds lighter, who would you need to be? You need to be somebody that's disciplined. You need to be somebody that's consistent. You need to be somebody that's committed, someone that loves themselves, someone that values themselves. And that's more inspiring than 10 pounds, but we're just constantly brainwashed and hyper focused on weight. But if you were just all those things, that weight's going to fall off. So it's
Yeah.
it's not only reprogramming, but it's representing people to what do you really want? And who are you really being right now?
Yeah.
Inconsistent, not disciplined, lazy,
Hmm.
not realistic with the goals that you're setting for the person that you are right now. It's called baby steps, setting small goals. Let's form yourself into that person versus going from 0 to 100 from black to white overnight. You're not
Yeah.
actually making true transformation. You're just making change. I could dye my hair tomorrow and be blonde, but I'm a true brunette. But if you put highlights over your hair for the next 10 years, maybe it's going to be gradual and people aren't going to notice and you're going to, you know, that's how I view health. It's a process. Like you said, it's one small change. It's 1% every single day, but people think they need to put 100% in every day. And then they just continuously fail and fall
It's
because they don't
impossible. You can't be perfect every single day, but you can do a little bit every single day. I think you and I talked about this the other day about how people are like, I want to lose 50 pounds in a month. And it's like, well, hold on a minute. It took you 20 years to put on those 50 pounds.
yeah.
Why do you put this expectation on yourself that's setting you up to fail, that you're going to lose these 50 pounds in 2 months when it took you 20 years? So it's like, if you think about it, you're just undoing all these habits that you've created. That's what you've got to kind of start to focus on, not the 50 pounds or the 10 pounds, like you said. I start with my clients usually. The easiest thing, which is also the hardest hurdle for many, is what they're drinking. People don't realize they're drinking
Yeah.
calories nonstop. And like, oh, I drink an orange juice and apple juice and grape juice, and I don't drink any sodas, but I love iced tea. And I'm like, oh, so you have a sweet tooth? And they're like, no, I don't have a sweet tooth. I don't eat donut and cheesecakes. And I'm like, no, you have a sweet tooth and you're doing it through juice. That's where you're getting your sugar from. And they're like, oh. And when you tell them a cup of apple juice is as much sugar as a cup of Coca-Cola, they're like, oh. I'm like, imagine just that one habit. You might lose a pound a week just changing from juice to water. And
Ex-
it's when you create these like visuals, like, oh, that is actually a very simple switch.
Mhm.
Those little things. So I totally am with you on that. It's those baby steps that are so important, that are habits you just create. And then you become a person. I don't drink juice anymore. Now,
Exactly.
natural juice. I know you and I are both into natural juices. I'm talking about the pre-packaged crap
Oh,
that you
yeah,
get in. Like, natural juice is different, guys. But like, you literally just squeezed it yourself.
yeah. Hmm.
But yeah, that crap that you see, like the Mott's, is it Mott's, Pots,
Yeah.
Mott's apple juice and all that.
Loaded with sugar.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what are some changes you work on with your clients? Some other things you would tell them to get started with after you get through like the first phase? I know it's very individual per client, I'm sure, but like maybe there's a couple key things, like tips that you have for people getting started.
Yeah, it really depends on the client. I think one, having them be aware. Awareness is everything. So if you're not aware of anything, then you don't know anything. So I always start with awareness, getting honest, authentic, understanding and learning about yourself. That's a huge thing that I do with a lot of clients. And then also, mm, a few of my clients, they don't love it. right? So I do this process where we set it up so small that it's so achievable and so easy in the beginning that you start to actually reprogram your mind, because people go to work out and say I have two clients that they're a little bit overweight, right? And they can't just go do a CrossFit class. Not only will they be exhausted, they won't achieve it and they could hurt themselves. So process with them is starting off really small, getting up, sitting down from the couch, the first stage to doing a squat for someone who can't do it, then going to body weight. So after sitting up and getting down on the couch is so easy for them. They're happy, they're excited, they're achieving, they're moving forward. Then we're going to go into the body squat, right? So it's like creating these baselines for my clients in a way that has them not be like, oh, you're a winner every time and create that kind of mentality, but actually having them enjoy it, right? Versus I've seen trainers
A win
who,
every so often, right? Like you're
yeah,
giving them something that they win, and they're like, "Hey, I'm actually seeing progress. I'm getting stronger in even the smallest ways." Yeah,
yeah. So I start really small because I ultimately I don't want people to be with me forever.
yeah.
I want to teach them and let them go and shine and really not just be a robot where I've seen people say, okay, and I don't believe in diets, but I say, here's this diet that's egg whites and sweet potatoes. And yeah, you could lose weight with me for 2 months, but is that going to last forever?
Right.
No. So like let's work on your nutrition for about 6 months and exploring foods and learning how to eat healthy and have it taste good.
Yeah.
Everything I eat tastes absolutely delicious. I don't suffer with my food anymore. I did that for so
Speaking
many
of
years.
food, guys, I love the way she puts her food together. Her juices. She used at the gym when we worked together. She would make these juices, and I'm like, "What are you doing to this juice that it tastes so amazing?" I would ask her, and she's like, "Oh, I just do this and this," and I go home and do the same thing. And no, I don't know what she does, but it's really good, guys. You really need to do like a Facebook Live or something of you making a juice.
Yeah.
So because everybody needs your juice.
Yeah, so I start them out. I get them to enjoy it. Like I said,
Yeah.
it's a lifestyle. So like enjoy making juices. Make it simple. Just learn how to do one green juice.
Mm-hmm.
Spinach, ginger, pineapple, lemon with
Yeah.
honey. Like the most basic one that
Right?
yeah, like it just tastes so good if you learn how to make one smoothie that you got down pat that you drink 3 times a week. You're going to love it, or twice a week, even once a week,
Yeah.
and eventually adds up. So I'm a brick by brick coach. I'm like, let's start here, very simple. Even if they're like ready to go all vegan, it's or all crazy, I'm like, I don't coach that way. So if you want to find a coach that's like that, you could find someone else, but I know it doesn't last. So I'm about longevity, consistency, and making true transformation, not change.
Yeah. And it is. I think, I mean, they say that, what is it? You need to do something 21 times to be a habit. I think that's what it is. And then the expertise level is like a million times. And I had the numbers wrong, that guys, but it takes a long time to get to expert level. And it's, again, the consistency and doing things the right way. But getting, again, the small steps, you know? And I
Mhm.
tell my clients, like you say, they come like, oh, I'm ready to change my whole diet, whatever. And I'm like, okay, drink 100 ounces of water a day. I can't do that. It's like, wait, you want to change your
Yeah.
entire diet, but you can't just drink 100 ounces of water a day.
Yeah.
Something it costs no money. It's not like a flavor thing, like it's easy to have. You just literally have a gallon of water or whatever next to you. There's no cooking involved, there's no time involved. But you don't, I think people are so disconnected from how much time it takes to really be very precise with every meal prepping thing. It is an art, it's a skill, and you have to build it little by little. I'm not saying you can't do it, but it's not what people think at the beginning, that it looks so easy. So
Yeah.
yeah, totally, the baby steps are super important. So
So
what else? What's your next topic in your next podcast?
my next podcast, I think about it on the weekend and then I meditate, or even sometimes I come up with it that day. But I love the topic of health, mental health, body image. Do something around that probably. Body image was a huge hit. A few podcasts that I did, a lot of people responded to that. And back to what you said, like making when you're setting out to make a difference and like your intention is to help people, doesn't
Mm-hmm.
matter if you help one person or if you help millions of people.
Yeah,
And like
it
I've
starts with
received
one, right? I mean,
what?
it starts with one person, and then it's
Yep.
just, that's how you start impacting the world, so
Yeah. So probably next week I'll do something like around body image, or I love the topics of like discipline and just behavior in general. I'm just because I'm curious for myself. I'm constantly challenging, looking at myself, understanding myself. Even if it's something I'm going through that week, I talk about it. Not myself, or like, I'm pretty transparent on it, but how
From
can
your
I?
experience, right? I mean, what I
Yeah.
think is so cool about you, Kate, is how you are like a badass. You guys, she's a badass jujitsu. Like, what belt are you at now?
Purple. I've been training for 7 years. Yeah.
That it's in itself takes discipline. I mean, a martial art like that. And you guys, she is like crazy good with the jujitsu. Like she does these things. I'm like, oh my gosh, she like threw someone over her head. Oh my god.
Thank you.
So
Yeah,
I think, and even the image behind that, you think like a lot of people connect martial arts with very masculine things, but you're so feminine too, and you bring like this that identity you've created for yourself. Talking about identities, and you're like this. And if you weren't healthy and had that mindset, you would have never gotten to that purple belt. And people, you guys, it's hard to get a belt in jiu-jitsu. It's not an easy
yeah.
thing.
It takes like 10 years to get your black belt.
Yeah, years. So and you're mastering it even as it like through the martial arts. It's you going every day, or I don't know how often you go,
Yeah,
but it's being consistent with showing up. It's being consistent with eating right so that your body feels good. It's consistent with the recovery from jujitsu. It's that. So that discipline you're talking about, I think you get that from like a martial art. Like I got it from like softball and cheerleading. I was an athlete when I was like in high school growing up, but
Mhm.
definitely I think a martial art like what you do, which is amazing. I
Mhm.
think that discipline piece connected to the mental and the body image, I could really see that with everything that you do is very interesting. So,
It's
yes, you can
cool.
do some of that too.
Yeah, it changed my life in a great positive way. It gave me a second chance at learning. Learning was never easy to me, and movement just makes sense, and creativity, and jujitsu is hard. It's challenging. You're being constantly tested every day. You can have no ego. Like someone half my size could tap me out or beat me up, and you just like the days you don't want to show up. It's like you have to. That's one thing I always tell my clients. Like I love jujitsu, so nothing will ever come between me and my training, or like me and achieving what I want to do, because you love it. Just like when you love a person, you're willing to fight, you're willing to die for them, you're willing to do anything for them. And when you love something, you show up for it regardless of how you feel, right? You just can't not love your boyfriend one day and the next day you love him, and show up as a girlfriend some days and some the not days, but it's the same with jujitsu. Like when you love something, it's like you feel guilty for not going versus like it's a chore.
You know what I think if you take it a step further, I think it's when you're feeling bad, it becomes the place that you go to feel better.
For
It's
sure.
even a step further that you're not just showing up just because you love it, you're going there because it brings your energy up because it's something you enjoy. And you've seen me dance, like that's my thing is dancing. And I know if I'm ever down or like stressed out, if I go and take a dance class, I'm like immediately that's my go-to for stress relief. And it's active, I get my body moving, and I can see how jujitsu could be that like management, that stress management piece to kind of get your head right. So I feel like if we all connect an activity that we like, if we get a go-to activity, that might be one way to manage our emotions and stress versus food or alcohol, the addictions, that sort of thing. Make
Yeah,
that activity your addiction. So you
exactly. Oh
transfer
yeah.
that energy into something else versus something that's more destructive. So that's one way you could kind of shift your mental issues, I guess.
Yeah,
What
and
you're struggling
yeah, for sure. And that's what I tell people. A lot of people think that they just need to like I walk into a corporate gym and I see people just miserable. I see
with.
people lost. I see them miserable. I see them not connected, with no community, with using the machines wrong. I just want to save everyone when I walk into a corporate gym, or some gyms, not even just corporate gyms, just like some gyms for any matter. And I think when we're just so programmed to think like that's how we need to work out and lose weight, is to go to a gym and you're not even enjoying it.
Yeah.
You don't have a sense of community, you don't have a trainer, it's not, everyone can't afford a personal trainer. But when you have that that community, and you're showing, like, I love my team. Like, Fight Sports has been my family for 7 years. So if I don't show up, someone's going to call me. Or if I'm, you have a team behind you, they're cheering you on, and then you have the support and the love and the, everyone there at Fight Sports is so committed. Like, they're top athletes there. People are just, you're just inspired to just be there in general. So you, like you said, you are a product of your environment and people who want to see you get better. And a lot of maybe gyms, maybe if it's a toxic environment or you don't have that connection, you're not going to show up. But say you go to a salsa class like you love, people are so much fun there. The music, the human connection. Like, I love jujitsu too, because like you get to be so close with people, but not on an intimate level, but more on I don't know. It's like,
It's pretty intimate when
yeah,
you do.
it's weird if you don't like know jujitsu and you look at a picture like that is a pretty risky position. But when you do jujitsu, you don't even think about that. Like, and like coming back, like you're so present when it's called when you're rolling with someone, that you don't have time to think about your problems. So that also, like when you're dancing, you're just like in the flow and you're in the movement of an art or creativity. And so I always have like, do you like to row? Do you like to go swimming? Do you like to do ballet? Do you like to do bar? Do you like to do running, biking, cycling, Peloton? I love Peloton. I like go try something else. Don't pay a gym membership you're never going to go show up for and just pay that the rest of your life. Like, let's discover, let's open our mind, let's be creative. And then, of course, incorporate small amounts of weightlifting or movement or exercise on top of doing something that you love.
Right. Well, I think it goes back to what you were saying about creating that new identity as that healthy person, that you're 10 pounds from now, this is that new identity. I'm a person that salsa dances. I'm a person that does jujitsu. You could connect that new 10 pounds from now. This is what I'm going to be I'm going to be dancing much more comfortably because I can move better because I have a little less weight on me. I think that goes back to that what you were saying, which I think is so true, is creating that new mindset, new identity for yourself. That you're not just this person, but you have now this plus the jujitsu, or whatever activity you decide. That's how you envision yourself as that new healthy person that I'm creating. That's the goal.
Exactly, as an identity as a whole, not just as a single goal.
Yeah.
You show up, like people think of you, they think of a health coach, I think of health coach and salsa dancing and massage. Those are and Zumba, yeah, like those are the three things I think of, because like that's just who you are, and like that's just a part of you, and that's what you represent, and that's a part of your identity. If you were to say like mountain climbing, I would be like, really? That's not, but if you start to do it over time, then you show up like that.
I just haven't gotten there yet. But no, I definitely, yeah. It's whatever gets you to light up and get excited to do. Yeah.
Yeah. And then people also too, like I find a lot with coaching, my coachees, they say, oh, my family doesn't support it, or my friends don't support it, or it's just so bizarre to them. It's so weird. And I said, yeah, because you've been a certain way for 25 years. Don't expect your family just to support you being a vegan now and you going to the gym 5 times a week when you just were not that. And it's building that toughness too, to go to a party. Like, people know how I am about my food, and I show up, and the water I drink, and the way that I am, and the lifestyle I am. All my friends and closest people just know that about me. Yeah. But it wasn't always like that. I used to be a big partier, a big drinker, and like drinking is not a problem in my life, but it's not a part of my life anymore. But when you first stop drinking, people are like, oh, keg stand. I'm like, I don't really do that anymore.
And what you're saying is so true. It's when you start making changes, your relationships with people, you see their insecurities come out because you're doing a positive change for you. And you have to kind of realize it's not about you, it's about them, that reaction. And I never saw that more true than I remember when I was 29, that January, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go a year without drinking. Just because I wanted a New Year's resolution, I was like, let me see if I could do this. It was not, I wasn't going to be depressed if I didn't do it, but sure enough, I'd go out with my friends and it was them like, are you sure you don't want, like, isn't it weird that you're not drinking? But Joanna, it's okay. We won't tell anyone. Go drink something. I was like, why do you care?
So weird.
I'm not stopping you from having a vodka tonic. Like, go do it. I'm okay with my glass of water. And you see the insecurities start popping out in the people around you that actually might have a problem with alcohol. It is fascinating when you do something like that. So you have to disconnect that judgment it's not about you. It's usually an internal thing that other person is struggling with. And if you can learn that, changes in your life like that, it becomes so much easier. So I think that's so interesting that you said that people, your family reacts to it like, well, what are you doing? We're
Yeah.
used to it a certain way. It's like, well, this is what I'm doing. So you could come along or be who you are, but let me do my thing.
And if you weigh out the options of like alcohol, to me, in moderation, anything in moderation is fine, right? But if you're like excessively drinking to get to the point of feeling a certain way because like you're like sloppy and drunk, I mean, I don't necessarily not agree. I don't like agree. I don't think it's healthy. Let's just put it that way. So when people are like, how can you not drink? And I'm like, I don't know how you can drink anymore. Like if I drink, I'm hungover for like a week. I don't even feel good. And it's toxic. So if I'm like, I always ask myself, like, is the action I'm about to do aligning with my life and where I want to go?
Mm-hmm.
And alcohol really fell out. Like when I was 21 years old, I was like, I'm kind of over this whole scene. And I got really into health, like working out and exercising and learning about food and my body and everything like that. So it was just like, no. And if I want to have a glass of wine once every whatever so time, I will. But if not, it just, I love kombucha. That's my jam.
Are you still making kombucha?
Yeah, I make my own kombucha. I brew
Okay.
it.
You gotta show me that too. Oh my god, I got a list of videos you need to make for me. I
I
need a
know.
like list here. Well, so where could people find you? What do you got going on right now? You have your podcast, so where could they find that?
Yeah, so my podcast is on Apple, iTunes, and Spotify, and it's called The Kate Hastings Show. So you can find me on there. And then on Coach Kate One is my Instagram, is where I'm most present on my platform for posting pictures and content up there. So I post some, short videos as well,
Yeah.
along with my podcast. I release one every Friday.
Okay.
Every week I release a topic and topic about something specific. It's around mental health, working out, discipline, behavior, food, mentality stuff. I'm really into like the mentality because I think it all comes down to your brain,
Mindset.
how you think and your actions and behaviors and why and this and that. So
Yeah, everything starts with what you're thinking, So we
yeah.
do start shifting to the like positive thoughts. It's going to make a huge difference. That's so true. And so, in your coaching, so if they want to reach out about coaching with you, I guess, we'll put your email and your contact information in the video post.
Yeah, my Instagram, it's linked to my email and whatnot. So
Oh, perfect. Okay. Will you have any last words? Give me one good tip for our peoples.
have
What's
get
your
to know,
favorite thing?
get to know yourself and get to know all those like really dark sides of yourself that you don't want to like look at and face it and get to know yourself. And those good times are always going to be there, but it's when you're suppressing those things that are really deep down inside of you that you don't want to look at, they're always going to keep popping up, especially when the good things happen in your life. So I say just get to know those sides and address them and crush them and kill them.
Those sabotagers.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, thank you for joining us. Thank you, Miss Coach Kate.
Thank
This
you,
was so
Joanna.
great. Thank you so much for joining me here today. So remember, guys, find her on IG, and her podcast is fantastic. Okay. And let me know if you have any questions. You can reach out to Kate too if you have any questions or want to work with her. Okay.
Thank
So
you.
have a great rest of your Sunday. Bye.
Bye.